the Elizabeth Bundy Center, Winfrey. I'm Kathy Olson with the Museum of Science and History. I'd like to welcome all of you here, especially these wonderful students from Sutton Elementary. I'm a former Sutton parent myself, so proud to have you all here and looking forward to the performance. I'd like to acknowledge, well, I will introduce several people in just a minute, but we're very excited to be hosting this play, which is one of the very first celebrations of Davis County's Bison-Tennial, 200th birthday. And we have a lot of events planned throughout the next 7 months. The next celebration will be on May the 30th. I think is there a bike ride in between now and May 30th?
No, that's July.
Okay. The next celebration will be May 30th on the Courthouse Square. It is going to be a party like we have never seen in Davis County. Lots of wonderful events going on. There is a Facebook page, Davis County Bison-Tennial. If you could go online and look at that, there's also a web page. Lots of information about all of the wonderful events that will be going on. We invite you to join us for many or all of them. Our committee chair for the Bison-Tennial, Lena Lamadou, are here. David Smith from Fiscal Court. We have several other committee members. If you all would stand up, please, for the Davis County Bison-Tennial. And especially for you all, because you, the next time we celebrate a county celebration, you all will be our age. So this is a particularly memorable event for you. Last time the county celebrated, I was 10 years old, and now I'm older. With great pleasure, I'd like to introduce both Tom Stites, Vic Harrison, and Julie White of the Owensboro Public Schools. They're going to tell you a little bit more about this project. I'd also like to report that OHS is 1 point ahead at halftime. Thank you.
Greatest joy because I had a job that I would do whether they paid me or not. But one of the things that I love doing is going into the teacher's classroom. We call it Arts and Fusion, and we apply music, art, drama, and dance to whatever the teacher in the room is studying at the time. So since it was a Bison-Tennial, we thought it would be really appropriate to use music and to use drama as a tool to get children interested and retain information about our history. And I've done this in every one of the 5 OPS elementary schools, and they've all enjoyed it in different ways and performed it for the rest of the school and so on, which these students did on Thursday. So we hope you enjoy this celebration with us. Pick up a few facts so that we'll all be in the know. And I just want you to know I've had several parents this year calling me and saying, that's not right. And I say, well, I think it is because I did research it in the Kentucky room of the Davis County Library, and according to the history that we have, I do think these facts are correct. But what I love about it is it's created a dialogue about who we are, where we came from, what Owensboro was like in the past. So without further ado, we'll introduce the stars of the show right here.
This did say. You see, that song makes it sound like this country was ours from the very beginning, like it were made for us. Well, it weren't. It were made for polecats, snakes, locusts, bison, and the like, but a short one made for us. I know. My great-grandpappy came from up east when his pappy was killed by Indians. His mother died shortly after. He was left alone at 12 years of age to tend his younger brother and sister. In 1797 or 8, he was one of the first settlers in Davis County, and he built a log cabin in the Ohio River at a site known as Yellow Banks, now called Owensboro.
Calm down, Bill. You see, Bill is our oldest resident here, 110 years old. Isn't that right, Bill? And sometimes he's quite outspoken.
He certainly is. Did you say 110?
He's older than George Washington! Yes, indeed. Bill's relatives were some of the first pioneers to settle Davis County almost 200 years ago. He knows quite a lot about the past and can remember everything. Why, there's a Kentucky historical monument which stands today in Bill Smealer's Park in downtown Owensboro. It was placed there in his great-grandpappy's honor.
That's most interesting.
That's right. I can remember my family history and just the way things used to be. We had to work hard to make this land our own. It weren't a bit easy. The land weren't just sitting there waiting for us to take it. Some of the Indians, mainly Iroquois, had other ideas. That is how Kentucky got its name. It means meadowland in their language. There were many variations back then. Kentucky, Kentucky,
Did you say Indians?
Can you tell us about them? Please, tell us about them.
The Indians, Shawnee from the north, Cherokee from the south, and Iroquois from the west, used as common hunting grounds right here in the Ohio River Valley because it was such a well-known buffalo trace.
I think I have some Iroquois Indian ancestors.
My ancestors came from England.
Quiet down! This ought to be good. Now, children, sit on our islands and make yourselves comfortable. Show us what the listeners do. Bill, why don't you just begin?
Back then, the state of Kentucky didn't even exist. It was in the middle of the Revolutionary War. You know, the war against the King of England to gain our freedom. The land was wild and the Indians loved it for hunting and fishing. My relatives were some of the first to come and try to settle here. Building your own log cabin and hunting for all your food wasn't their only problem. The Indians weren't too keen on having us hunt their land. They all wanted the buffalo for their meat and also for their hide. That fur could keep you warm in the winter and could be made into many things, like breeches, shoes, and even baby cradles. Some of the thinner hides were stretched into wood and even used for windows. You couldn't really see out, but it can let in the light from the moon and the sun. That really helped when you only had candles.
I hadn't thought of not having electricity. It must have been hard to do your homework back then.
Homework? I didn't know they had homework back then.
Why did your relatives leave the cities of the east? Were they a bad place to live?
Shucks, no, they weren't bad as cities go. They were much too crowded for the likes of us. Most settlers left because they didn't like to have folks breathing down their necks and looking over their shoulders. The way I figure it, it's nobody's business what I'm doing.
Hey, we know a song about that.
Indeed we do, Rebecca. Let's sing it. Bill, you can do it. You know the song.
I went to town in a little red wagon, come back home with the hump of dragons. Nobody's business what I do. It's nobody's
came pouring into this region. Shawnee Indians north of the Ohio who were so unhappy about the settlers in Kentucky that they joined up with them there British against the colonists. In 1775, Kentucky grew rapidly as the first settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains. Settlers came mainly from Virginia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. They entered by way of the Cumberland Gap and the Ohio River. The most famous early explorer was Daniel Boone. He was one of the founders of this here state.
I heard the early settlers wanted from tobacco, corn, and hat.
That's right. And did you know that back then there were less than 200 settlers in Kentucky? They didn't last long thanks to Daniel Boone, exploring frontiersman. His travels made him one of the first folk heroes of the United States. Boone is most famous for his exploration and settlement of what is now Kentucky. By the end of the 1700s, over 200,000 settlers came here following the trail that old Daniel Boone set out.
We saw Danny Boone's grave when we went to visit our state capital in Frankfurt. Oh, guys, remember that fact about culture? Our town was named Yellowbanks because of the deep yellow color along the river banks. It was caused by the yellow clay content. Does anyone remember how Yellowbanks was renamed to Owensboro?
That's easy. Abram Owen moved to Kentucky in 1785. He fought the Indians and also mapped out Shelby County. Abram Owen was in the Kentucky legislature and became so famous that many counties were named for him in both Indiana and Kentucky. He was a colonel in the Battle of Tippecanoe, where he was killed in 1811.
Does anyone know how Davis County got its name?
I know that too. My dad works at the county clerk's office. The county is named for Major Joseph Hamilton Davies, and yes, it is spelled with an E-I. A recording year in the state clerk's office accounts for the year in spelling, which was never corrected. No wonder our teacher system counts. I would really be mad if I could get famous if people didn't spell my name correctly. That's exactly what my dad said. Davies was a lawyer who lost his case against Aaron Burr. Wasn't Aaron Burr the third vice president in Thomas Jefferson's first term? Vice President Burr challenged his political rival, Alexander Hamilton, to a duel and killed him.
Hold on, that's most interesting, but I want to know more about the buffalo. My mom said they're almost extinct.
I know a bit about that. The reason why there are so many buffalo around is because, well, we have a perfect habitat. We have the Meadowland and Ohio Valley riverbeds. Did you know that it was easy for the buffaloes to live over half a mile across the river? They were so large it can run at speeds of 35 miles an hour. Brown bear, grizzly bear, gray wolves, and coyotes were their only predators until the settlers and Indians almost wiped out their herds.
Wow, 35 miles per hour? That's faster than my go-kart.
In the 17th century, tens of millions of bison roamed North America. But by the 18th century, overhunting reduced the population down to 100.
I had that from homework. In the last 50 years, the American bison herd has grown. Farming them has increased their population by nearly 150,000. I'm glad they're not endangered anymore.
Now I understand why we have a bronze bison in front of our art museum on Treasure Cup.
Wouldn't it be cool to have more bronze bison sculptures all the way down to Smothers Park? I think they're trying to make that happen. You know our mayor, Ron Payne? He actually donated his own money to pay for bronze bison out of the front of the art museum.
Is that when we're celebrating the Bison-Tennial?
No, Rebecca, we're celebrating the 200th birthday of Davis County, which was established in June of 1815. Centennial is a Latin word for 100, and bi means two. So you see, 200, the Davis County is 200. Bicentennial means 200.
It sounds so much the same when all is talking about bison. Well, I just thought, well, my bad. How could I have known? I mean, no one in my family speaks Latin. Forget about it. Let's get back to the bison. Do you think the mayor might put a real live bison petting zoo down by the bat wings?
I'm afraid it's a little too dangerous for that. Bison may look calm out the farmer's show, but they can be a killing machine when they get mad. Those horns look dangerous to me. What if one got loose and fried after 5?
worked on the Bill of Rights. His grandson sold the property to Robert Triplett. Robert Triplett added the side wings and the gable roof. Robert Triplett was the first lodge real estate dealer, the first soil conversationist in Kentucky, a barge operator, and an author. He also was one of the builders in Kentucky's first railroad.
Well, no wonder he had a street named after him. I'm going to ask my parents to drive by the haphazard the next time we go by Reed's Orchard or our new hospital.
Well, Sonny, just remember that things weren't so easy when my grandpa came to town. There was no orchard, grocery store, general store, or nothing. Sometimes we ran out of provisions before we can get to another fruit and stock up. Sometimes we got so hungry that even a squirrel looked mighty good to us.
Well, it seems like being a pioneer wasn't that easy. What did your grandpapa do when he first came here?
Well, he sure enough didn't have much money, but he wanted some free land.
Free land!
The government had passed a law called the Homestead Act that gave the pioneers the right to claim free land. All they had to do was farm it, so that's what he done. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. Then I built myself a shack, I did what I could.
I called my shack, break my back, but the land was sweet and good. I did what I could. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. Then I bought myself a cow. I did what I could. I called my cow, no milk now. Called my shack, break my back, but the land was sweet and good. I did what I could. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. Then I bought myself a duck. I did what I could. I called my duck out of luck. I called my cow, no milk now. Called my shack, break my back, but the land was sweet and good. I did what I could. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. Then I got myself a wife. I did what I could. I called my wife, run for your life. I called my duck out of luck. I called my cow, no milk now. I called my shack, break my back, but the land was sweet and good. I did what I could. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. Then I got myself a son. I did what I could. I called my son, my little son. I called my wife, run for your life. I called my duck out of luck. I called my cow, no milk now. I called my shack, break my back, but the land was sweet and good. I did what I could.
Bill, you may be 110, but you still haven't lost your singing voice. We're so glad you came. I'm sure to sit on the hearts of pioneer life. You're right, though.